Minish Cap is actually one of our more favorite handheld Zelda games, and a lot of that reason is because of the dungeons.
Well, sure ain't because of the side quests.
I'm still fusing Kinstones. I'm still fusing Kinstones right now. But, like, even though there were only 6 dungeons, like, they were all very fun to play through.
They were, and I think a big part of that is the fact that Nintendo was able to make each dungeon really different from the other ones in the game. And that's something we hadn't really had with the 2D and the handheld Zelda games, mostly because of the graphical capabilities, but it really made them stand out.
I like how it kind of got each element, too. Like, we got forest, we got fire, we got some ice and water combined into one, actually.
Which was
we
fun.
usually get those separate, and then we got 2 wind dungeons.
Well,
1.5. We got, like, 1.5 wind dungeons.
One's in wind in name only.
Yeah, wind in name only, exactly right. But this is our Minish Cap dungeon ranking.
Let's go to the video.
Red, if this was a windmill farm in this place, we get absolutely no energy from it whatsoever.
No, we really wouldn't, because there's no wind in the Fortress of Winds.
And I remember getting so excited because I really do like wind dungeons.
Yeah.
And I was expecting so much, and then as I'm going through it, we really just get nothing. It's just very bland. There's just a lot of dirt and these boring green grandma floors.
And another thing that like really built up that anticipation, which just led to the letdown, was the backstory that went into this dungeon.
I did love that backstory.
Just talked about like the Wind Tribe abandoning this place, but where's the wind?
Exactly. Now the moments I wasn't a huge fan of that item. We do use them quite a bit throughout the game.
We used to dig through dirt and
I mean, what's the fun of that, you know?
It's just a very bland and very forgettable dungeon, except for one thing.
Yes, I did absolutely love this boss, and this is the color that this dungeon needed. And just he was so weird and so out of place, but man, was he a fun boss!
I loved going into his interior, like shrinking into his head to hit his power core. I guess
I just love how you use the bow in the midst, both items that we got right before this dungeon.
Yep. Hick, I think you and I were both surprised with how far this dungeon dropped in our ranking, because normally we're both pretty big fans of the final dungeon of the game.
I was surprised it dropped down this low because I actually really liked this dungeon.
Oh, me too.
The only thing I didn't like was finding all the dark nuts.
The problem is that's like the entire second half of this dungeon.
It just happens too many times, but just the whole purple sky right here, and going along with that, the purple and green throughout the dungeon, just gave it a very dark and mysterious feel.
It did. Plus, I felt like this dungeon had some of the tougher like puzzles that you had to solve,
Agreed.
Which is appropriate for the final dungeon of the game.
And then also, how about the theme? That theme also has like a darker tone to it. I'm just a huge fan of the theme.
And then the final approach to Vati, the 3 levels.
And the 3 chimes.
It just felt very epic.
Yeah, agreed with you. And I was actually a big fan of this final boss fight, especially the last 2 stages.
I thought they did a really good job of implementing like the multiplication and the Minish abilities that you've accumulated throughout the game.
And I just like this little area right here where we find them over, like a little galaxy below us. Just absolutely love that. Red, you know I love forest dungeon.
Oh, yeah.
And this dungeon right here looks like a forest, but also combines water with it a little bit, and it was just very beautiful for a first dungeon.
I thought it really was. Normally we hammer first dungeons for being so bland and boring, but the colors combined with like this barrel in the middle.
I love the barrel idea right here. Just kind of spinning around in it, using it to go to different areas of the dungeon was very unique and just was an awesome idea.
I was also a huge fan of like using the mushrooms to sling Link to across the water.
We're mushroom slinging, baby.
Yeah, we're mushroom slinging. I thought it was a cool concept.
Now the Gush Jar, I don't really care for the Gush Jar, but the theme in this dungeon is probably my favorite theme in the entire game.
It's very high up there, but man, I do get hung up on that Gush Jar not being a very exciting item at all.
And I'm not very excited about this boss right here though either. Just like it took it's just a bigger regular enemy that we have. It wasn't very creative, but I like how you use the Gush Jar right here against him.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it is just a regular Choo-Choo. I like the concept of fighting him as a Minish, but not very imaginative in my opinion. Now, usually we're not this high on a water and ice themed dungeon, but the Temple of Droplets really came through for us.
You know what's funny is we usually hate ice and water dungeons, and then they combine them, and then we end up liking it. So I don't know how that all works.
That's all it took all these years was to put them together. But I loved how they used the sunshine in this dungeon. Just using it to melt ice.
I just love the combo, like we said, of ice and water and how it varied throughout the dungeon. And just like it brought two things together that we had in a dungeon, really.
And I'm a big fan. I'm not sure if you are as much as I am of this theme. I know you always call it
this is the X-Files. This is the X-Files dungeon right here.
Yeah, but I love this theme as well.
Yeah, and the flame lantern. It's not like it goes along with the dungeon a little bit, but
it does.
I wasn't a big fan of that item really because we don't use it really in the game except for this part.
And kind of a recurring theme. I wasn't a huge fan of this particular boss either.
But I did like how going along with the dungeon, he switched from from ice to water.
Oh, I agree. But again, just another blown up regular enemy.
Knock those rocks back down. That was awesome. 2 tickets to the minecart ride, please.
Oh, I'm right there with you. Yes.
I just absolutely love that part of this dungeon, just riding it all the time, and his facial expression just made this place fun.
It really did, and I would have that same look on my face if that minecart came crashing to a halt as quick as it did.
But then these rooms right here, like with the kind of misty, like smoky,
yeah,
I really love that.
And I was also a big fan of like the rocky looking walls. It makes it really look like you're down in a mine.
Now this cane right here, I was actually a big fan of this item.
Me too.
And like how you use it to flip carts, flip platforms. It was just very
flip
good.
Enemies even.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Good point.
And also using it to like launch Link up to higher platforms every now and then. I thought was done well as well.
And that room running the platforms right across there, and they're like sinking down to the lava. Like I mean, it's very not real timid, but enough.
Yeah. And the Glee Rock fight I thought was very fun.
Agreed.
This room was awesome.
And then using his neck kind of as a bridge between you and the lava, I thought was just a really good idea.
And the room just filling up with fireballs. The lava comes out at you.
That lava can make it a little nerve-wracking because I didn't know if it was going to stop or not.
All added up to a strong boss fight. There was no doubt in our minds what dungeon was going to be number 1. This one just had everything.
As soon as I stepped in this place and played for the first time, I was like, this is by far my favorite dungeon in this game, hands down.
I just love the feeling of being like up in the sky like this with just nothing below you but seeing those clouds float by. I thought it looked really awesome.
Very beautiful. And then the Rocks Cape, our favorite item in the game.
Oh, by far.
And just how you use that to what would be soaring or whatever, like a double move you could use.
Especially combined with the fans
and jumping distances and everything. And a lot of places just having you and nothing but the sky below you. Just very epic feeling.
Between the sky and the fans, this is what a wind temple or palace of
we're looking at you, Fortress of Wind. Yeah. This is what you should have been.
And it's capped off with an amazing boss fight, my favorite of the game.
Yes, definitely. Just like jumping back and forth between these guard pairs and just having a fight in the sky. It went so well with the dungeon.
And it felt like it added another level of pressure that there's absolutely nothing below you, just you and this boss.
If you jump, it puts you right back on the guard pair. But who's paying attention?
Awesome boss, awesome dungeon.
You can see from our individual rankings right here that we were very strong in number 1 and number 6, and there's all kinds of craziness happened after that.
I mean, we were all over the map after that. I mean, I was a lot higher on the Dark Hyrule Castle and Cave of Flames than you were.
And then, like with me, like the Deepwood Shrine and the force field of it, and then the Temple of Droplets with this ice and water, I was a really big fan of.
This has been our Minish Cap dungeon ranking.
Be sure to subscribe to our channel by clicking the red subscribe button. It will send you to our YouTube page where you see that we upload Zelda videos weekly.
And if you give us a follow on Twitter, you'll see that we have Zelda discussions every single day.
If you're in the mood for another Minish Cap ranking, click the video on the left to go to our Minish Cap boss ranking. The video on the right will send you to the top 8 worst Zelda dungeons, our most popular video.
And you can also click at the bottom to go to a playlist with all our Zelda ranking videos.